Hello students, so in the last class we have studied one of the subphylum which is of a chordata called Urochordata. In this class you are going to study about another subphylum of protochordate called as Cephalochordate. Well, you know that what is protochordata, and this protochordata have two subphylums which is Urochordata and Cephalochordate, which you have already studied. Okay, so in this class you are going to study about Cephalochordate, right? So in the last class you have studied Urochordata, which includes general characters, example for the Urochordata, and retrogressive metamorphosis. Okay, so in this class, Cephalochordate and their general characters are the concept that you are going to study. Well, before knowing general characters, you should know what is Cephalochordata. Well, cephalo means it's nothing but head, and chorda means you know that cord, notochord, nerve cord, a small tubular structure which is present on the dorsal surface of the body of every chordate. We call it as chorda, right? So if the animal have notochord, say from head region, we call it as cephalochordates. Okay, plus they usually have almost a circular shaped body. Okay, so the main part, the meaning of the cephalochordata is where the notochord is extends from the head region. Okay, let's see the general characters of this subphylum Cephalochordata. So the general characters mainly includes usually these cephalochordates are exclusively marine forms, means they only present in marine water, and they're cosmopolitan, means so wherever the marine water will be there, you're going to see these cephalochordates, and they usually present in shallow water. Means usually cephalochordates they won't you cannot find them in deep water. Usually they present in the low depth water, and they are triploblastic, which is a key character of a chordate. Means they have three dermal layers, which is ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Okay, so body is bilaterally symmetrical, and while is bilateral symmetrical means you know that say body have lateral sides, right? And their body is fish like. Their body, they are actually have slender body, elongated body, almost looks similar to a body of a fish. Well, in this picture you can see here, so this is an example which is lancelet you have already studied. Brachiostoma is another one name for it. So this is the real picture of brachiostoma. So this is not actually a fish, but they look like fish, and they don't have any much large size. Usually, cephalochordates maximum they can grow up to 5 to 10 centimeters, which is nothing but a scale size. Okay, so and they don't have any large body, means they don't have huge body size. They are very small creatures, and they usually present in shallow water. You could see here, so this is brachiostoma, which is lancet. They actually half of their body they bury their body in the soil. Okay, and that's why it's the reason they need light, and they present in the shallow water. Okay, so body lacks head and divisible into trunk and tail. As you can see here in this picture, so this is a diagrammatic representation of one of the cephalochordate, which is brachiostoma. As you can see here, you cannot distinguish which is the head part. Of course, you could say this is anterior and this is posterior part, right? But you cannot clearly cannot say which is the head portion, because say usually what happens, let's take an example of arthropoda. Arthropods, usually the insect body can be divided into head, thorax, and abdomen, right? But if you see here, they don't have any distinguishable head portion. Okay, so that's why you cannot separate, you cannot say this is a head portion, but you could say this is the anterior portion. That's the reason the whole body we could divide it into trunk and tail portion. The trunk and tail portion. Exoskeleton is absent, epidermis is single layer. So they don't have any exoskeleton, means there is no outer skeleton structures. Okay, like for example, if you take molluscans, they have exoskeleton, right? But in case of here, of course that's the non-chordate, but I'm just for the example I'm saying here they don't have any such exoskeleton or outer skeleton structure. You could see here, where here you won't see any, they actually have very smooth, delicate, almost transparent body. Okay, and metabolism is well marked. What is this metabolism? If you notice this picture, the metabolism is nothing but segmentation. Okay, segmented body. If you observe branchiostoma, they actually have small segmentations, and this segmentation is actually nothing but, we could say it as myotomes or muscle foldings. Okay, so it's a very common factor in cephalochordates. Coelom is enterocoelous, which is nothing but, they're saying all chordates they have true coelom. Then median fins are present, but the paired appendages are absent. What's the meaning of this point? So median fins are present means these animals, they actually have fin-like structure. Why? That? So they don't they actually live in water. So for the swimming or for the movement, they need fins, right? But they lack appendages. Means these animals, fish-like animal, they don't have any locomotory organelles like appendages, but instead they have fins. You could see here, say dorsal fin here, the dorsal surface, which is actually helpful for, plus you could see the outline caudal fin. These fins are helpful for their movement. And all are filter feeders. What is the meaning of filter feeding process? Filter feeders feeding nothing but, you could see here, they have actually, this is the mouth part, oral hood is nothing but mouth part. So here they just have filter feeding process, means filter feeders means whatever the water will enters, okay, that will be entered through this oral hood, and after this, in the oral hood, with the help of tentacles, and so they will separate the food particles in the water, and they release the unnecessary water from the food, and they will intake the food. Okay, so this is what we call as filter feeding or filter feeders. Means so in order to take the food, they just filter the food from the water, or they separate the food from the water. And this is nothing but just like filtration. See, when you take a soil in the water, and if you want to filter the soil from the water, what will you do? You will take a cloth and you will filter it. So what happens, the clear water will be deposited at the bottom, and you will get small soil particles at the surface of the cloth, right? Exactly. Here also, they, through the filtration, they will get the food. Next, notochord is persistent throughout the life, extending from rostrum to tail region. Rostrum means, say, you could see here, this is anterior portion. Here you can just pointed, right? So this is nothing but rostrum. In some animals, you could see clearly the rostrum structure. Like for example, I will give you an example: sawfish, right? Sawfish, they actually have a long saw-like structure just above their mouth part, right? Saw-like structure, which is nothing but extended rostrum. Okay, so that is advanced structure which is actually present in fishes, but whatever it may be, I'm just giving you the example. So that is rostrum. Exactly here, the head region means the anterior portion, again it also have rostrum. Okay, so from this region, the notochord begins and it will ends in the end of the tail part. You could see here the blue color. Yeah, this is notochord, right? The blue color, the light blue color. So this is, yeah, blue color. So that is actually notochord. This actually makes the cephalochordate different from urochordate. Almost you could see the same characters even in the urochordata, but the main difference is here the notochord. See, notochord, if you remember, the notochord is present in case of urochordate, it only present in the tail region, right? So if this is one example for this acidia, so if you take the acidia, the notochord was actually present, or it only confined to the tail portion, right? Whereas here you could see here the notochord is actually, say, it begins from, means the anterior portion, head portion, up to the end of its body. Okay, and these notochord will not disappear as the larval stage ends. Okay, means of course they don't they have say usually cephalochord, they have intermediate stages before they becoming adult. But during this intermediate stage, or you could say larva stage, they won't lose their notochord. Even in the larva stage and even in the adult stage, you will find the notochord. But in case of Urochordata, the notochord only present in the larva stage and it will disappear as they become adult, right? So that is the main difference between the subphylum Cephalochordata and Urochordata. Okay, so the notochord is persistent throughout the life and extend from rostrum to the tail. That's why they are called the Cephalochordata. Means where the notochord is present from head portion, you could say, of course they don't have a distinguished head, but you could say that the anterior portion, from anterior up to the end region of the body, that's why they're called as cephalochordates. Okay, the respiration through general body surface, uh, respiration through general body surface, that is, no specialized respiratory structure is found. Means in case of cephalochordates, they don't have any specific respiratory structures. Through the body surface, the gaseous exchange will take place. Okay, there is no respiratory system will be present. They just have simple body surface through which the respiration occurs. Complete alimentary canal present. Complete alimentary canal present. Of course, you could see here in this picture, say they have a complete alimentary canal, means the digestive system is complete. Means you could see here, this is the oral hood or the mouth, and it will continues here in the intestine portion. So this is intestine, the yellow portion, and it will end as anal structure, right? Means if the animal, the digestive system begins from the mouth and ended as anal and at the anal structure, we clearly said, so this is the complete digestive system. So cephalochordates have complete digestive system, and they have pharynx which is very large. You could see here pharyngeal gill slits, the pharyngeal bars you could see here. So this is actually pharynx, and you know that. So in humans, we can say that in the neck region you will find the pharynx, which is connected to the the remaining part of the digestive tract. Exactly here they have large pharynx. You could see here, right? So this is actually a large pharynx part. Okay, and you know that how they feed means through the filter feeding, right? So whatever the food will be filtered in the mouth, that will be into the intestine and it will be digested here and it will release out to the anal structure. Notochord is dorsal and hollow without ganglion and brain. So notochord, you know that what is notochord? Notochord, you can see here. So this is the dark blue line here, right? So this is actually notochord, right? So this notochord is dorsal and hollow. You know that. So this is dorsal, means it's present in the dorsal surface, and it's a hollow tube and present just above the notochord and without any ganglion or brain. So ganglion brain means, in you know that in higher chordates what happens, these nerve cord will continue to develop as a brain and spinal cord, right? But here, in case of cephalochordates, they are actually lower chordates, or we could also say it is protochordates, where here they don't develop it as a brain and the ganglion or spinal cords. Instead, it will remain as it is, as a nerve cord. Means they have very simple, basic chordate character. Okay, so that's about the nerve cord. Excretion by protonephridia. Protonephridia is nothing but, like we humans, we have a structural functional unit of excretory system called nephridia. Exactly in case of cephalochordates, you could see the protonephridia, and even of course even in the non-chordates also, like echinodermids, in all these animals you could see the, or in case of platforms, right? So next to this phylum we could see the protonephridia as an excretory unit for the excretion process. Circulatory system is closed type, but heart and respiratory pigments are absent. Hepatic portal system is well developed. The circulatory system is closed type. Of course, in the diagram you couldn't find any circulatory part, but they have circulatory system without any heart and respiratory pigment. So you know that, say, what's the function of heart? Heart is the structure which helps in pumping blood throughout the body, and whereas the respiratory pigments is the structure which actually carries the oxygen, right? See, of course, we have hemoglobin as a respiratory pigment which will carry oxygen and it will supply throughout the body. But in case of this animal, primitive, low chordates, they don't have such any complex structures. Instead, they have the circulatory system where the fluid will moves throughout the system, but without the use of without the presence of pigment or even the heart. Okay, and again have hepatic portal system. Okay, so this is the end point. So sexual reproduction occurs, external fertilization takes place. So here in cephalochordates, of course, in almost all the chordates there is no sexual reproduction. Usually the sexual reproduction happens. Similarly in cephalochordates, we could see that they actually show the sexual reproduction process. And development is direct, but an intermediate juvenile form exists. So the development is in present. You cannot clearly say this is a larva stage, but you could say it is juvenile stage. Okay, so this juvenile stage followed by the adult. So so that's why I have mentioned you that, say, even in the intermediate stage they show the chordate character, right? And all dioecious animals are comes under, or all dioecious animals, sorry, it should be animals are dioecious. Okay, all dioecious animals, not all dioecious animals. Animals are dioecious, and you know that what is dioecious means, male and female separation will be there. So that is dioecious. So that is all about the general characters of cephalochordata, right? So, and the example for this one is here, you have seen here lancelet or branchiostoma. So I have mentioned you here one point that they have circulatory system which is closed type, and you know that what is closed type means. They have a separate vessels to move body fluid. Like we have closed circulatory system means we have blood vessels, blood capillaries through which only the blood movement will occurs, right? Exactly. They also have this closed system through which the blood body fluid movement will occurs, but they don't have any heart, right? So if you see the general characters of chordates, I have mentioned you one point, that is the heart is ventral, right? So if they have heart, then it should be present in the ventral region, but here the cephalochordata, they don't have any heart structure. Then how these chordate or cephalochordate can say it as a chordate? It's very simple. See, so when I was explaining you the chordate characters, basic four characters, if you remember, that will explain, or that will say whether this animal is a chordate or non-chordate, right? And which is the basic four characters: the presence of notochord, presence of nerve cord, and then post anal tail, okay, presence of pharyngeal gill slits, right? So you could see all the four characters is present in this cephalochordata. So if the animal have all these four characters, other than this they have heart and they have bilateral symmetry and remaining characters, whatever the characters I have mentioned in the previous videos. If they have, that is bonus, you could say. But in order to consider, say, this animal as a chordate, they should have, definitely they should have all these four key characters. Okay, otherwise you cannot say them as a chordate. Okay, so cephalochordate, or you could say the brachiostoma, if you remember, I have mentioned in the lancelet, they're actually called as a typical chordate. Why they're called as a typical chordate? Because they have all the basic four characters or key characters which require to say, so this is a chordate animal. That is the notochord, postanal tail, and the pharyngeal gill slits. And these four key characters will remain even from the juvenile stage up to adult stage. Okay, and these four characters will remain as it is. So this makes a difference. This is what are the actual difference between the cephalochordata and urochordata. In urochordata, you could see all the basic four characters of chordate, but only in the larval stage, but it will disappear as they become adult. But in cephalochordata, all these basic four key characters are present even in the larval stage, and even not in larval stage, you could say juvenile stage, and even in the adult stage. So that's what actually makes totally a difference between the cephalo and urochordate. Okay, so in the next class you're going to study about examples for cephalochordata. Okay, I hope all of you understood the concept well, and this is for today. Thank you.